For those who can still remember. I know it is a long time.
Okay, good morning.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
how are you?
Prof.
Good morning.
Fine. The very last section that we looked at was on the significance of the study.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We are now going to proceed from there. We officially completed chapter 1, and therefore we are moving on to chapter 2 today. As we all know, chapter 1 is the foundation of your study. You can consider the time we have given it. It is long enough. It means that when you are doing your work, you should give chapter 1 the time it requires. Because once you set up the foundation very well, it means other things, other sections, you know the direction. So chapter 1 sets up the direction of your study. Therefore, it is given much more energy and time. As you will see, or you have already seen, today we are going to discuss chapter 2, and we shall complete that discussion of chapter 2. Chapter 2 is officially referred to as literature review. It has several subsections, but before we go to them, let us go through this introduction, giving us the importance of chapter 2. The first point we note is that as a researcher, you are only contributing to an ongoing debate in the field of your topic. That is why you should have literature review. Literature review is therefore helping you to listen or to hear from the views of other debaters, other contributors to your topic. What have they said? Before you say anything on a given ongoing debate, it is important that you listen, you hear from other contributors. Then you also give your contribution, your point of view. So that's why we say you are just a contributor to the ongoing debate. Therefore, you are not the first to do a study on that topic. You are not even the last. Other people will continue to do research. So once you know this, then it will help you not to feel so proud when you are writing, and it will help you recognize that you are a contributor, and therefore you would wish to hear from what others say. That is a key point which I think we have to take before we continue. So, as I said, having known that, then what is literature review? There are different definitions of literature review according to different scholars. But generally, I took literature review as a systematic, this is what we are supposed to be thorough, not thorough. A a systematic identification or location. A systematic identification or location, and study or reading or review of the documents that have information related to your research problem. So as you see, systematic means it is a step by step. There are steps you have to follow. As we may see some of them, the steps you follow to do a systematic literature review. There are different approaches people give on the steps you should follow. One of them is that as you are going to literature review, you first of all break down your section into, your literature into subsections. For example, we are going to see the subsections. They are basically 3 subsections, but each subsection also has subsections. Those subsections, for example, we have the conceptual review, the theoretical review, and the empirical review. Now, when you know that those are my sections of the literature review, then depending on which section you are currently handling, let me say you are going in for a conceptual review. Conceptual review means you are going to discuss literature on the definitions and meanings of your study variable or the concept you are researching upon. Now, systematic review at this time means, first of all, note down or put down the concept, the key concept you are researching upon, you are reviewing upon. That is as in step 1. Then in step 2, you also write down the synonyms of that concept. You have not yet started reading the synonyms of that concept. Synonyms mean the similar words to the concept you want to review. Because people might have used different words to mean the same thing. If you don't know them, you search for them. You go to your dictionary and identify a list of synonyms. The other possible words people have used which are similar to that concept. Having listed them down, then you start identification or location. Where am I going to get the information about these concepts? Because you selected a topic from your area of specialization, you know the library section where such literature are located. If you are online as the current generation we are in, you know the journals which specialize in that concept. Let me say you are talking about entrepreneurship. You will probably search the entrepreneurship journals. You will not go to ICT journals when you are talking about entrepreneurship. So once you have listed those places where you are going to locate, then you can start searching in them one by one. Now, Once you search and you locate a given document, you may not begin by thorough reading that document. You do what you call a scanning. You scan through the different documents and you do what you call selection. Scanning means you read the summary of that paper. If it has an abstract, you read the abstract and see whether it is relevant to your topic or not. The moment you see it is relevant, you select it and you put it in your folder or in your archive. If it is physical reading, then you will put it aside. That is scanning through. Once you have selected, let me say, around 20 documents, that is scanning or selection, then you have completed that step, then you move on to the next step of reading. And you read one by one. You read one by one. I will add on that step, another step, when we reach on the conceptual review. I was just giving you the detailed breakdown of the definition of literature review. Why we say a systematic identification, location, and study or reading of the documents that have information related to your research problem. Because during the process of reading, we shall reach there and see, but that is what we call literature review. I know that literature review, much as we know the direction now of the study, it takes time, especially for the researcher to understand the details of the study problem or study variables he or she is researching upon. This is when you go into the nitty-gritties of that details, and depending on how much you read, how much literature review you are ready, you are able to access, your level of knowledge in this PhD will be determined. So we can differentiate somebody who has read widely and somebody who has not read widely. When you hear people say this person is widely read, that means that person has read several literature sources, therefore has various views from various scholars. So literature review makes you the scholar. It makes you the scholar. I don't want to put a lamentation, which people usually put, that Africans don't want to read. I will just emphasize that a literature review makes you the scholar. If you want to be a scholar, do thorough review in your area. Nobody else is going to make you. It is not me, Chivuka, who is going to make you a great scholar in your field. No, it is you to make yourself a great scholar. And what makes you a great scholar is how much you have read from the different contributors to your topic. Now, the choice or the decision is yours to become a great scholar in your field by reading widely, or I don't want to mention the other way around. Here we gave some of the few points, but I think the discussion I have given now gives you the importance of literature review. Some few points we gave here. As I said, the number one helps you to obtain detailed knowledge about the topic. I have explained this, how you become a knowledgeable scholar in your topic. And it helps you to share with the proposal readers what earlier researchers or writers said or they found out about a given issue, about that research issue you are pursuing. And 3, it is after you reading what earlier researchers said or found out that you can be able to identify the gaps left. In other words, what else have they not explained that you would wish to explain? What else have they not added that you would wish to add? What else do you think they have not done that you would wish to add? So as a good debater, you all know if you are in a talk show or if you are in a discussion, you cannot be a good debater if you have not heard what others have said. Or you came in late and you simply start giving in your views without hearing or listening to what others have said. You know, people may listen to you, but you may appear to be irrelevant because you could be just repeating every point others have said. And people will wonder, why are you wasting their time? So the same thing happens here in your book. When you simply talk about issues others have talked already and nothing new you are adding, hey, it will indicate that you are not a good scholar. So once you identify gaps, it helps you to avoid the duplication of ideas others have already given. It is also important in this point number 4, that as you read what others have done, it helps you to identify the different approaches and the common approaches researchers have used to conduct such studies. That is the how. How have they conducted similar studies? So that you can also either adopt, that is, replicate the same methodology, or you can bring in new methodologies, which can also contribute to the gaps you are trying to fill. I hope we talked about research gaps. We emphasized the different types of gaps which a researcher should be aware of that his or her studies contributing to fill. For example, Methodological gaps or methodology gaps is one of the gaps a researcher may be trying to fill. And it is an important gap here, which a PhD scholar is expected to bring out. Now, having gone through how important is literature review, we were in the first introduction talking about the steps of literature review. We ended at a point where a researcher has identified the documents and scanned through them and selected them. For example, you need to have a target that maybe today I want to read 5. So once you identify the 5, you put them aside. If they are soft copies, you put them in one folder. Then you can begin reading comprehensively about them. So this point here is a replication of the first point in the introduction I talked about. But as you are reading, I said, this comprehensive reading we are talking about, I hope we are following. We say that you critically read and try to understand what others said on your concept you are reviewing. The key word here is critical reading. The other one is understanding. So when we are reading to understand. We are reading to understand. And critically means you go deep. You go deep. Bring out the inner meanings, not the surface meanings. Then we said, critically read and try to understand what others have written on any of your study variables or concepts. Then if you have done that, we say, you have read. During this process of critical reading, if you have a highlighter, a pen or a pencil, you can keep on underlining or highlighting the key points identified in that document. Some other people will read while extracting them and writing them on a given other book or paper. So that they know the key points they have identified from their reading. Because in the next step of writing, you have read. Now, the next step is to write. And this step, we are beginning it from this point where we say, then critically discuss them. I think this point must be near this one. Therefore, I will bring it near here, where we say, then critically discuss them. You have read, you have understood, now you are writing. your writings should be a discussion of what you have read. Remember, we said you are participating in the debate, so it is a discussion where you bring out the meanings and the interpretations in relation to your study. How does the idea you have read relate to your study problem? Sometimes we may emphasize the issue that how does it explain your study problem? So these 2 points here may not rhyme so well with the points of the steps of literature review we talk about. And therefore, I'm changing them briefly. Yes. I just made some brief reviews of this. Somebody is saying I'm off completely. Is it a problem from my side or from that person? Are other people getting me?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Yes, we are getting you, Doctor.
Okay, I think it is a problem for that person. Okay. We have gone briefly through the steps. As we said, that there are subsections of literature review. And here we go. We go through how does chapter 2 flow. As usual, like other chapters, this chapter has an introduction 2.0, where you write a paragraph briefly indicating the subsections of this chapter. For example, your introduction may sound like this. This chapter presents the theoretical review. If your theoretical review is going to appear as the first subsection, you may say, you may begin with the conceptual review if conceptual review is the first. There is there are different views on which one should come first, theoretical review or conceptual review. As of now, it will depend on you and probably your supervisor on what you prefer to put number one. Whatever the case, you will write and say your chapter 2 You say this chapter 2 presents the theoretical review, conceptual review, and empirical review of the previous studies on the study variables. The research gaps identified in existing studies are also indicated. You see that we are emphasizing even the research gaps, and the emphasis is that nobody will ever close all the gaps. So a debate, an academic debate continues. Why? Because the world changes. Before COVID, there are certain things which people thought they had fixed. And COVID changed many things. And therefore debates continue. The world keeps on changing. Today you may think you have an answer, you have fixed an answer. And the changes in the world come and those answers are no longer thorough enough to explain the problem. So that's why you see now, basically 4 sections: the conceptual, the theoretical, the empirical, and the gaps. Meaning that all other subsections which may appear in chapter 2 may be part of one of those mentioned sections. Now, our key issue here is how do we write each of those subsections? Or what do we write in each of those subsections? Let me stop this recording and I start it afresh.